Hello, today I'm gonna practice IELTS full test with the topic misinformation and critical thinking. Part 1. How do you usually get news or information? Yep, I often receive news from online platforms, especially social media and digital news. But I always check the source before I make decision to believe it because there are so many misinformation on internet nowadays. Question 2. Do you trust everything you read online? Not really, because there are many posts that look very convincing, but they contain false or misleading information. So I believe that it's important to question what we read before we make decision to believe it. Question 3. Have you ever shared news that turned out to be false? Yes, I used to read a news about healthcare product. I found it's really reasonable, and then I shared it to my family. Finally, I know that it was incorrect. So since then, I realized that we need to check the source before we make decision to report anything. Move to part 2. Describe a time when you discovered that something you heard or read was false. Yeah, if I had to choose an example, I'd go with the case of lemon juice that I read a few years ago. At that time, it was COVID-19 disaster, so everyone tried to do everything that can protect you from this virus. And at that time, many people said that lemon juice can protect us from this dangerous living things, and I find it really reasonable. And I also see many people around me talk about that. Even one time, I read news on a local newspaper. They said that they introduced that as a natural remedy, but later when I watched medical medical channel, the doctor said that it's not true because it have no any scientific evidence to support it. So I realized that I should be more careful about what I read online. And that experience taught me that clear and accessible communication is very important. And people need media literacy to avoid false information as early as possible. Now we move to part 3. Question 1. Why do people believe misinformation so easily? Well, I think there are 3 reasons. Firstly, almost the misinformation have the emotional appeal, so people tend to believe it immediately. Secondly, most of them have the so easy and simple words that people can understand immediately, so they make decision to believe that. Finally, I think that not many people have the full base knowledge to judge it right, it correct or false, so they also believe it. Question: how can schools help young people recognize misinformation? Well, I think schools can teach children about critical thinking and media literacy. If they were taught at young age about how to question the source and evaluate the credibility, so they can be more resistant to false claims. Question 3. Do you think misinformation can ever be completely eliminated? I think probably not, because it's a long and arduous journey. But we can reduce the impact by the combination of governments, educators, and media companies to promote the transparency and responsible communication.